Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to read class 7th SST part History, chapter number 2, Kings and Kingdom, part 3rd. Now, in the last video, we have read about the different kingdoms that were emerged during the 7th century and who were the rulers, the famous rulers, and what were the area of extent, what the area they had covered during that time, and their successors. So in this video we'll read about the kingdom of the south, basically. So whatever the kingdoms we have read in the previous video, that was related to the northern or central Indian kingdoms. So now in this video we'll read about the South Indian kingdom, that is the Chola. So Chola is ruled between 800 to 1200 CE. So basically it's about 4 century approximately they rule over there, and the founder of the empire was the Vijayalaya, and he was there for 850 to 857, and his capital was Thanjavur. So Vijayalaya was the vessel of the Pallavas. So as I explained in the last videos about the vessel means samantas or chieftains. So they have some of the territories that is given by the main king, and they rule in those particular area, and in behalf of that they provide the tribute to the king's soldiers and taxes, many more things. So like as the Vijayalaya was the vessel of the Pallava dynasty. Now here you can see some of the important rulers of the Chola dynasty. Those were like Vijayalaya, Aditya first, Parantaka first, Raj Raja first, Rajendra first, Rajendra second, Kulutung. So these were some of the Cholas rulers, those who were famous during the Cholas period. Now in this video, in this chapter, basically we have to read about the only two of them. The first one is Raj Chol, and another one is Rajendra Chol. So they are the father and son, that I will explain. And these two are the most famous because only in their region the expansion policy, the capturing of the other territories, strengthening the naval force, that all those things were happened only in these two at the strongest level. Basically it was not like that before that it was not there, it was there, and after also it was there, but during the rule of Raj Chol and Rajendra Chol, it becomes on its zenith. So let us see. Raj Chol, his reign was 985 to 1014 CE. So due to the policy of war and conquest, Raj Raja Chol defeated the Cheras and Pandyas. So these two were also the southern kingdom. So he defeated them and conquered their territories. So this led to what? This led to the extraction of more revenue from those areas that they had captured from the Cheras and Pandyas. One more important event of the Raj Chol was that he invaded Sri Lanka. Yes, our neighboring country. He invaded Sri Lanka, and he annexed, he took some of his territory, basically the northern part of Sri Lanka, he took and merged with it the Chola dynasty. As well as one more island is there, Maldives. That island is also invaded or annexed by the Raj Chol. So there you can see it is not like that ki the Chola kingdom was only in the Indian subcontinent. It was beyond the sea, means after the sea also, like Sri Lanka and Maldives, and we'll read about more in the next. They have announced in the more of the territories from the outside of the India as well. Here I am giving you name of some temple, one temple, that is Rajeshwara temple in Thanjore, that was constructed by Rajraj Chol. So during the Chola dynasty, Chola rule, they were patron of art and learning. So, and also they constructed several temples in their dynastic period. So we will read about this also in the next slide. Here the military was well organized and economically efficient. So this was like that. The army, the Chola dynasty have like cavalry, infantry, elephants, or naval also. So these were the military that were organized, means they were well trained, as well as they were well paid and well equipped. Means that all of the aspects which led to the expansion of any empire, protection of any empire, all of the aspects is related to the military that were fulfilled by the Chola rulers. So this is the basically thing that we have to read about the Rajraj Chol 985 to 1014. Here his son Rajendra Chol. So Rajendra Chol was there for the reason just after him 1014 to 1044. So this reason, approximately 30-year reason, was it was the rule of the Rajendra Chol and son of Rajraj Chol. He continued his father's expansionist policy and defeated the Western Chalukya rulers. So Chalukya rulers that I explained in the previous video. So Chalukya rulers, Palas rulers, and Sri Lankan rulers. So these rulers were also get defeated by the Cholas dynasty. Means that the area what he had covered during his reign, it was very vast. So what is the benefit of conquering all those areas? They will get the tribute, they will get the revenue, they will get the more benefit of the territories that they had covered in their time. So this was the area of expansion of the Chola dynasty. Also he defeated Kaling, the Odisha part, and the ruler of the Ganga region. Means that the areas that belong to the Ganga river, that regions were also conquered by the Rajendra Chol. So he came from south and he started started annexing the northern part also. So after conquering all those areas, he reached up to the river Ganga, as I said. So reaching up to Ganga made him to assume a title of Gangai Kond Chol. Means that the Chola conqueror who reached to the Ganga. Means that the person, the emperor basically, the ruler basically, who reached to the Ganga river from the south, that ruler is known as Gangai Kond Chol. So this was the ruler, this was the title that assumed by the Rajendra Chol. He also established new capital near river Kaveri called Gangai Kond Cholapuram. So in the praise of reaching to the Ganga region, he also established one of the city that is near the Kaveri river, that named is Gangai Kond Cholapuram, means the city of Chola conqueror of the Ganga. Means that the ruler who reached to the Ganga, that in praise of that he established the city that was known as Gangai Kond Cholapuram. Also he defeated the ruler of Sri Vijaya Empire. So Sri Vijaya Empire is nowadays the area which is covered with the country basically like Malaysia, Indonesia, that area, and some part of China as well, that area was under the Rajendra Chol. So that was earlier, it was known as Malay Peninsula, Sumatra, Java. So these were the areas that was under the Sri Vijaya Empire, and he annexed it on it and started controlling the overseas trade route. Means that after defeating him, after defeating the Sri Vijaya Empire, he established the overseas trade route. Why he had done this? Just because the Sri Vijaya Empire did not want the Indian merchants to trade with the China. So to make him stop, Rajendra Chola defeated the Sri Vijaya Empire and started the overseas trade with the China. Also, how they do that? It is because this Malaysia and Indonesia was after the Bay of Bengal and more for the reason. So it just because of the help of the navy. Means the naval force of the Rajendra Chola or Chola dynasty was so strong, just because of it he was able to conquer all those areas. So this was the reason. So this all shows that the Raja Chola, the expansion area he conquered, as well as his son Rajendra Chola, his vast empire that he conquered and annexed and conquered all those areas, that shows the Cholas dynasty rule and extent. Now in the next topic we have to read about the administration of the Chola. How the Cholas were able to rule, means who is the head, who is the how the cities or villages or states were divided, that we have to see, as we have read in the previous video also. Like kingdom was headed by the king. Okay, the king is the head, superior head, and he was assisted or advised by the council of ministers. Means that there is a council of ministers, those who were helping him to rule the empire. Also, the Cholas maintain a large army, like I explained, the cavalry, infantry, elephants, a strong navy. So this is the main feature of the Chola dynasty, means they are having the numerous number of army as well as strong army. Okay, the empire was divided into three, that is Mandalam, means the whole empire is divided into provinces. Then each provinces is divided into Valnadus, means district, and a group of villages are known as Nadus. So this is a division of the Cholas administration, and this obvious, like we people also, the India is divided into states are divided into districts are divided into villages. So this this division of empire helped the rulers to rule. So this kind of division we have already read in the northern Indian administration during the medieval period. So this shows that the good and perfect management of ruling an empire. Now there is one more name, that is tenure. Tenure is a large town. If there is a big city, if they have to control that, so they have given that city as a name of tenure. That administrated separately, means that is not under the Mandalam or Valnadus. Now the officials were usually paid by granting them assignments of revenue bearing lands. Means that the officers, the highest officers of the Cholas empire, they get the salary, they paid by the revenue bearing lands. Means that the land that belongs to the king, that they give to the officials, and whatever the revenue, whatever the tax they will collect from those areas, that will be the salary of that particular official. So this shows that means that the officials and officers, those who belongs to the Cholas empire, they will get the regular payment or the regular they are getting the income also. Now moving to the village administration. So I had explained that the several groups of villages are known as Nadu. So now as you know very well, the village is the smallest unit of the administration purposes, whether it is ancient time, whether it is medieval time, whether it is present time. So this is the village is the smallest unit of administration. So here in the villages of the Cholas empire, there were two assemblies. So the two assemblies were what? Ur and Sabha. So what was Ur and what was Sabha? Let's see. So Ur was a general assembly of all classes of people, means that the people, those who belongs to the Cholas empire and their region, they all were the part of Ur assembly. But there is a condition for them. They must have owned the land in the particular village. They must have the land in that particular village. Only those people were allowed to take part in the Ur assembly. One more is there, Sabha. So Sabha what? It was an assembly where Brahmins were there. Or what kind of Brahmins? Those Brahmins who get the land grants by the king. Means that land grant means the kings were provided donation to those Brahmins those who were living in their territories, that those Brahmins were the gift that were given to those Brahmins were known as Brahmadeya. So only it was what? It was the gift that is given by the rulers of that empire, that land or land owner were known as were only the participant of the Sabha. Means that only those who are on the land that is gifted by the king, only those people are able to take part in the Sabha assembly. And for the urban administration, as the name it is mentioned, like Nagaram. So Nagaram, that assembly is found in the towns and city, and the member of these Nagaram were mainly traders, merchants, and sometimes artisans. So suppose if there is a rich merchant, rich traders were there, if famous artisans were there. Artisan means the craft workers, those who work for the craft. So craft workers, famous craft workers were there. So they all were the part of the Nagaram assembly. Means the decision what they have to took for the particular area, particular village or town, that all they took. So this is the division of the village administration, Ur and Sabha, and for the cities or the urban areas, that is the Nagar. Okay, how do we get the information regarding what is the work of Sabha, what is the work of Ur? So there is example of one inscription of Parantaka that is found at the temple of Uttara Merur, and it was constructed by whom? Parantaka, the king Parantaka, that I had given the name in the previous slide. So in the temple of Uttara Merur, there is a list of function that is written on the wall of the temple. What are the function of the Sabha? So here it provides us a very good information, archaeological information, that gives us information about the function of the Sabha and the authority that the Sabha groups or Sabha assembly got during that period. Also that I had explained, the Chola rulers granted land on the larger number of Brahmins called Brahmadev, or because of it the Chola empire is full of the Brahmins caste. So because of it, because the society was also divided into several castes, or the Brahmins were the superior, and they were to be donate, they get the donation, they get the land grants from the kings basically. So because of it, most of the Brahmins were started settling in the Cholas empire. Okay, the Sabha had also different communities. So Sabha is not only for the meeting purposes, it has several committees to look after the local administration, like look after the temples, the gardens, irrigation, as well as assessment of the land revenue, means the taxes that could be taken for the purposes of the land and the land produce, that and maintenance of the law and order, means that Sabha had the highest power authority in the villages area. So they have the highest authority, including the functions for the temples, gardens, irrigation, etc. Means that they have the authority to look after all those things and maintain the administration in the villages area. Now, economic. So what is the basic source of income of the Cholas empire? So that they promoted the inland and overseas trade. Okay, so basically inland and overseas means the neighboring kingdoms as well as neighboring countries. Okay, so they do trade with the neighboring countries as well as neighboring kingdoms as well as from the neighboring country. This shows an prosperous economy of the Chola empire, means that they were so prosperous during that reason, that is why they were able to pay their officials in a good amount. The Coromandel coast and Malabar coast, these two coasts provide the center of India's trade with the Southeast Asian countries. So basically Southeast Asian countries that I explained, China and this Malaya Peninsula and Java, Sumatra. So these were the places where they were trying to trade with them, and the Coromandel coast and Malabar coast. These two coasts are providing they work as a center for the trade purposes. Also, land survey were conducted to fix the share of land revenue, means that how much the family, those who are living in particular areas, what amount of land they have. On that basis they collect the revenue from those people. Also, taxes were collected from the tolls on trade. Okay, what is tolls on trade? Means that for the trade they have to pay the taxes. If you have to purchase something from here, then you have to also pay the taxes. If you bought something from the other country, on that you have to also pay some taxes. So this tax is known as toll tax on the trade basically. Professions and plunder of the neighboring territories. Professions means the workers, those who are working, they also paid some of the taxes of their income or earning. And plundering the neighboring territories means whatever the areas they plundered, they annexed, that area come under the Cholas rule or Cholas dynasty, and those areas were also the resources that belongs to particular those areas, they were also provided the source of income to the Chola dynasty. So this is the way they get the economical benefit during the Chola rule. Now temples. So in the last video I explained that why people were constructed temple, just because to give the religious symbol, or as well as that people can recognize that this person has constructed this temple. So for that purpose, for the victory, sometimes they used to construct temples on the victory, sometimes they used to show their strength, show their power. So they constructed the various temples. So here the Chola kingdom were also, they were also constructed of several temples during their rule. Like Chola rulers built many large temples. These were the center of cultural life. Like the temples were the main spiritual center. Basically, several works took place, like worshipping of God is there, but also there were so many priests were there, so many ceremonial dancers were there, gardeners were there, so garland makers were there. So these people all were living in the temple, and the campus that is under the temple, in those particular area the people were living, and the profession related to that particular temple or the temple generated job they used to do, means like selling of garland, performing dance, performing yagna and havan and all. So those were the main source of economy, and those everything it is present in the temple and the temple area. So this is not only the spiritual center, this is also provided several stages for the people. Here one name is mentioned, Devdasi. So Devdasi is what? Devdasi is the devotee, basically woman, a female devotee to the god, and they live in the temple basically and used to perform the used to worship the god. And the temples, yes, as I explained that the Brahmins were getting getting land grants Brahmaday. The temples were also getting a free revenue free grants, means they also get the huge amount of money, and those money or the income were not under the revenue, means that they get the revenue free grants. Also there is a lot of donations from the wealthy merchants or the king or the other peoples, means that they get the numerous amount of money, as well as they their income during the performance of yagna and all. Those all were made the temples of the Chola Empire very prosperous. Okay, there is two architectural style of temple that were constructed in India, that you will read in the next chapters, in coming chapters. Let me give you some brief. Like one is Nagara style or Nagar style, or another one is Dravida style. So the northern or central India used the Nagar style of temple in their Nagar style of constructing of temples in their region, and in the South Indian areas of the rulers, they use the Dravida style of temple, Dravida style of architecture to construct their temple. So what is Dravida style of temple? Like there is a Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha means the chief deity room, means the temple whose means to whom they have devoted, the statue of that particular deity is kept in one room, and that room is the roof of that room is having the multi-layered, means it is multi-storied, and that is shows as a Dravida style, means they have the Garbhagriha, there is a main deity, and on in that room there is a numerous stories, several stories that shows the particularly the architecture of the temple, also the importance of that temple. The long the temple is, the most famous the god is. So like that you will read in the next chapters as well. Here I am giving you some of the name of the temples that were constructed by the Cholas ruler, like Brihadeshwar temple at Thanjavur, Aravateshwar temple at Darasuram, Nageshwara Swami temple at Kumbakonam, Mover Coil at Pudukkottai, Koranganath temple at Srinivas Allur, Tiruchi, Valishwara temple at Tirunelveli. So these were some of the examples of temples that were constructed during the Cholas Empire. Now, how do we get the information of several information about the Cholas Empire? It is the inscription, the archaeological sources that I had explained in the first chapter. So I'm giving you example of this Tamil copper plate inscription. This was the most famous, most resource that gives us information regarding the Chola Empire. Like these inscriptions served as a record of conquest, means what the area the king had conquest, that is mentioned on those copper plates. Events means what kind, like suppose ceremonial events like ascending the throne, like performing the rituals, performing the yagna, or land grants, means the land that is granted to the Brahmins, that were also mentioned in the Tamil copper plates. Contains the detail of land, how much what number of lands were there, wells, trees, canals, river, pastures. So these information is written in those inscriptions. Also types of taxes, means what kind of taxes and fines they charge with the people, that were also mentioned in the copper plate. Also rights enjoyed by the grantee, means that those who like the Brahmins were enjoying the free revenue free lands. Also as well as royal genealogies. What is royal genealogy? It's just information which king had made that, also whose were their ancestors. So these records were kept in the copper plates. Also that copper plates bear the royal seal of particular rule of a particular dynasty, just because to show their authenticity, means that how correct, how true they are, that is to be considered by the seal that is given by the royal authority. So these type of information we get from the copper plate inscription. Also we have found several inscription on stone, pillars, temples, temple walls basically. So these provide several information about the Chola dynasty or Chola empire. Here I told you that the Chola king Parantaka first, what he has constructed the Uttar Merur temple, and that provides several information about the Sabha and the other information regarding the Chola dynasty in that temple. Also the inscription shed light on the socio-economic life, like what was the social status, social life, and also economic life, how the people were earning, what kind of the earning status and what kind of the social status of particular area, and name of the officers, like who collected the taxes, means whose responsibility is there to collect the taxes, also who is the responsible for managing the temples and aided and advised the king. So basically the inscription provide several information regarding like socio-economic, I told, the officers who collect the revenue, the manager who took the charge of temple, also the advisors of the temples who advisor of the kings, those who advises the kings for the several of times. Those all names were, or the information that all were mentioned in those inscriptions. Now language and literature. So during the Chola period, the language and literature also become famous during that time. Like there is two type of particularly saints were emerged during that period, that were Nainar and Alvar. So they were the saints during the reign of the Chola rule or empire, they were emerged. So who were Nainar? They were the devotee of Lord Shiva, means they were worshipping the Lord Shiva as well as the devotee of the Lord Vishnu. So this Chola rule was there to show that they were emerged during the Chola empire. Also the Cholas were the patron of art and literature. So in their region there were several written work were also there, like the Tamil literature become most important, and it reached its zenith during the Chola dynasty, that everything you will read in the next chapters also in detail. And there is one saint, that is Kamban, he was Tamil saint basically, or his work, the Tamil Ramayana, it was an great and important information that we get from that the Chola dynasty was so prosper in the literature during that time. So this is the thing regarding the Chola dynasty. Now after this, all these things, we have to read two important invasion on India, that is the Turkish invasion, or we have to also read about the Mahmud Ghaznavi and Mohammed Ghori. So Mohammed Ghori, you were already heard in the last video. I had explained about the Mohammed Ghori, the fight between the Prithviraj Chauhan and Mohammed Ghori, that I will explain in this video also. Here let me start with the Mahmud Ghaznavi. So as I told you, when there is a weak ruler in any dynasty, those who are not capable to hold the empire uh, hold the empire, and this led to the weakness of particular empire, and because of it the dynasty started declining. So this reason, because of this reason, many of the invaders, those who come from the other part of the world, they started coming to the India. Just they have heard that there is a lot of money, there is a lot of wealth in the Indian subcontinent, and as well as they have also heard the temples were having a lot of money with them, that I had explained in this video only. So this information, and that one more, that they get the information that there is no good ruler during that reason. So this information that they get, and they started plundering or raiding the Indian subcontinent. Like there is Mohammed Ghaznavi. So he was he came to India from the present day Afghanistan, and he was known as also Mohammed Ghaznavi and Mohammed Ghaznavi. His name was basically Mohammed Ghaznavi, but he come from the Ghazni land, means the area that is the empire, basically Ghazni Empire. So that is why he was also known as Mahmud of Ghazni. So he came India in 1998 to 1030 CE, and he was ruling in the area of Ghazni, that is present in the Afghanistan right now. So he raided India 17 times. Means that he raided India 17 times, means a large number of time he raided on India between the time period of 1001 to 1020 CE. So why he had raided? Because I told you that he heard a lot of things, that there is a lot of wealth in the Indian subcontinent, as well as there is no particular ruler is left, or the famous or the brave ruler is left to fight against him, and because of it he invaded India, raided India basically 17 times. And which places basically he invaded most? Like Punjab, Mathura, Multan, Thaneshwar, Kannauj, Somnath. So he invaded the most of the northern part of the Indian subcontinent and the central part. So he invaded there, and he carried away a lot of wealth with him. So he carried away a lot of wealth, as well he carried away artisan and learned man with him. So why he took artisan? Because he whatever the craft he saw the Indian subcontinent, he wanted it to be in their own empire in the Ghazni. And learned person, those who are the scholar, the learned person, he also kept those people to his own kingdom. So what he does with the money that he took from here? So he with those money he decorated his palaces. Basically he developed the Ghazni Empire. So he decorated the palaces, mosques and tomb of Ghazni. So basically he used those money to make his empire powerful and prosperous. Means in the sense of decoration purposes, in sense of strengthening his empire, in the sense of strengthening his empowering his army basically. So there is Mohammed Ghaznavi, and this gives the chance to the other invaders to come India and plunder them and raid them basically. So here is one more, that is Mohammed Ghori. He came from the same place, from the Ghazni, after 1 century, near about 1 century. There is a gap between gap of 1 century between them, or he also came here in India. Now let us see the Mohammed Ghaznavi. So Mohammed Ghaznavi's attack was so devastating in nature, means that his attack was so cruel, so harassing, that he killed a lot of people. He looted the temple, he looted the treasury of the temples as well as the kingdoms. He brutally killed the peoples. He brutally he misbehaved with the women. He kidnapped some of the peoples, some of the children. So this was so devastating, so devastating in nature, that this shows the weakness of the Indian subcontinent. So basically this led to the other invaders that know that there was no particular or proper ruler in the Indian subcontinent, and rest of the also invaders started thinking that they can also raid to the India. So just because of the invasion, this raiding of the Mohammed Ghaznavi, this led to the other invasion too. So he had a different scholars that he already in his court. Also he took from several scholars from the India. So there is one scholar, his name was Firdausi, and he was the famous among all of the scholars that were present in the Ghaznavi court, and his name was Firdausi, and he wrote a book that is Shahnama. Now in 1030 the Ghaznavi died. So after approximately 1 century, more than 1 century, from the same country, same empire, one more invader is there. His name was Mohammed Ghori. Mohammed Ghori Mujuddin Muhammad bin Sam, also known as Sihabuddin Muhammad Ghori. So he ascended the throne of Ghazni in 1173, and he conquered most of the part of the Multan and Uch. So this is in the now the present day in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Also he come to the Delhi and Gangetic plain areas. So he wanted to come to the Delhi and Gangetic Valley. So this I will tell you in, so basically he wanted to annex the Delhi and Gangetic Valley, or also he made Punjab, present day Punjab and Pakistan Punjab, he made his base over there. He made his troop stay over there, and from there he started annexing the territories that belong to the Gangetic Valley. So there is one famous fight that I had explained in the last video, fight with the Prithviraj Chauhan. So Prithviraj Chauhan was there, or there is the Battle of Tarain in 1191 and 1192. So they fought with each other, and why the Mohammed Ghori wanted to fought with that Prithviraj Chauhan? Because they wanted to control the Gangetic Valley and Punjab area. So this is the reason why the Mohammed Ghori fought with the Prithviraj Chauhan. So they fought two battles. In one battle Prithviraj Chauhan defeated the Mohammed Ghori, and the next battle in 1192 Mohammed Ghori defeated the Prithviraj Chauhan. And after the Battle of Tarain, Mohammed Ghori did not wanted to be in the India. He wanted to return his country Ghaznavi. So after defeating Prithviraj Chauhan, he was going to his own country, but whatever the territories, whatever the area he conquered, basically the central part of India, the Gangetic area he conquered, he given all those territories to his entrusted slave. His name was Qutubuddin Aibak. So Qutubuddin Aibak is there, that we'll read in the next chapter, in the Delhi Sultanate chapter. So this Qutubuddin Aibak started the slave dynasty or Mamluk dynasty. We'll read in the next chapter. So this was the whole chapter, and if you have any confusion regarding it, if you want to ask anything, you can comment in it. And I had given the homework also to find out the founder of all those dynasty that I had explained right now. Today's homework is that you have to find out the city or the rural administration of rural and urban administration of the Chola Empire. Means you have to write what were the basis of the ruling in the rural areas and the urban areas. That you have to write in the copy. Thank you, students.